Hi everyone. So as lots of you know, I've been making and wearing masks throughout lockdown, and I've trialled and tested some different designs, and the one that I'm going to show you today is probably the least claustrophobic. So that's the one I've stuck to. Someone asked me to do a little tutorial and I thought it might help some other people if you want to make them as well, because obviously the guidelines change on the 24th or 25th. Where everyone has to wear masks and face coverings in shops as well as hospitals and public transport. So I'll just go through what you need. So you'll need 2 squares of fabric. I just use these cotton squares. You can get them in packs online, and I find the 25 centimetres by 25 centimetre squares are the best size. You'll need a pipe cleaner, you'll need a needle and some thread, and a piece of elastic. You also need some scissors just to trim down the elastic and the other bits and pieces. So the first step that you'll need to do is place the 2 pieces of fabric outside in. So these 2 sides are the bits that you'll see. So you're going to put them together so that they line up neatly, and then you need to do back stitch in a line across the 2 opposite edges. Don't worry about these sides yet because I'll tell you what you need to do then. What I found was that you needed more thread than I initially thought. So if it's about kind of the length of your arm, that should be the right amount for one side. Okay, so I'm just going to start sewing. I won't show you all of it. I just start here and back stitch. You could also do this on a machine if you want, but mine's broken and I can't get it repaired until the shop's opened. So I've sewn backstitch along the top and the bottom of the seams, as you can see here. What you need to do next is to turn it around, and you are going to sew completely along the top seam, and then you're going to do the same on the bottom, but you're going to leave a gap about 5 centimetres wide so that you've got space to put the filter in, but I'll show you how we do that afterwards. So I'm just going to start by back stitching the top seam all the way along. So this is what it should look like once you've sewn 3 of the edges completely across, and the bottom edge most of the way, but you've left about a 5 centimetre gap, and that's where we'll put the filter in. You might also notice that I've now got zigzag edges. You don't have to do this, I just have a pair of thinking shears and it stops it from fraying a bit, so that's why I've done it. So your next step is going to be putting the pipe cleaner and sewing it onto the inside seam at the top, and this will just help the mask kind of pinch around your nose to make a more secure fit. Just make sure that you are doing it on the opposite seam to the one that has the hole in the bottom, otherwise you can't put the filters in. Okay, so I'll just show you how we do that. So you get your pipe cleaner, doesn't matter what colour, I just did blue to match the design. So you're going to hold the pipe cleaner along the top seam that you've already sewn, and then you're going to sew it to it. So I'm just going to poke my needle through the seam I've already made, and then over the top of the pipe cleaner, and that will just hold that in place. I know some people kind of just sew in little loops so that it's removable, so that will last a bit longer if you put them in the wash, but I found it doesn't rust too badly as long as you dry it straight after you've washed it. So put it on a radiator, and it's worked fine for me so far, but that's up to you. You may want to make your pipe cleaners removable. So as you can see, I've sewn on the pipe cleaner. It's quite secure now. The pipe cleaner was a bit longer than the fabric, so I just cut it down afterwards so it doesn't hang over the edge. And our next step, we need to turn this inside out so that the bit that we're going to have on the outside is on the outside. So you do this by just pushing through the material, through that hole that you left when you sewed the bottom seam. Just turn it all the way inside out. Okay, and it's important that you make sure you push out all of the corners so you have a neat square. This will help when we're making our folds in a moment. Just really push those corners out. Okay, so once you've done that, you should have, it looks a bit like a pillowcase really, a little tiny pillowcase. And what you're going to do is you're going to start folding the pleats. So you need to make sure you're holding the seam that has got the pipe cleaner in it. And then this side here is going to be the bit that's inside by your face. So you're going to hold the corner that has the hole on it and fold it so that they meet like this. And then you're going to concertina both of these edges so they line up nicely. Okay, so it's an additional 2 folds each side, and it should look like that. And then this means you've got a bit of extra space for your nose and mouth when you're wearing your mask. Okay, so with one hand you're going to pinch the concertina that you've made, and in the other I have threaded a bit of cotton through a piece of elastic just so the knot's on there, and that makes it a bit easier. What you're then going to do is open the fold, kind of the middle fold, and you're going to put the needle through like this, and then if you just twist the elastic round so it pokes out of the end, and then you pinch it all together. And then what you're going to do is you're going to make little stitches all the way through the fold and the elastic. Now if you have a thimble, it could come in handy now, but to be honest I don't really know anyone nowadays that owns a thimble, so sometimes I just kind of lean on a firm surface to do this. Okay, so it doesn't have to be the neatest, just make sure that once you've done a few stitches all the way through the cotton pleats and the elastic, that before you tie it off in a knot, if you pull it a bit it is secure. If not, just put in a few more stitches and that's fine. Then you can tie it off. What you need to do after that is you need to do the concertina folds on the other side. So I'll just quickly do that. So it should look something like this at that point. And then you are going to bring the elastic across. So the elastic doesn't need to be very long, just a bit wider than the fabric itself. And then I'm going to put my needle through the elastic like I did last time, open the middle fold, and then put my needle through 2 of the pleats from the middle. I'm just going to put it securely, tuck the elastic in, and then I pinch together and start folding all of the pleats and the elastic together again. So once you've sewn the elastic on both sides of the mask, it should look like this. And this is pretty much the finished mask. I'm just going to talk to you a bit about the filter. As you're aware, this is not a medical grade mask, so I make it a bit safer by folding a piece of kitchen roll and putting it through the gap to have another layer of protection. They've said that when masks become wet, they're no longer effective, and if you're wearing it for a long time, your breath can make it a bit damp. So this will just absorb any of that moisture to prevent your germs spreading or other people's germs getting through for short periods of time. What I do once I've finished using it, I just take out the piece of kitchen roll and put that in the bin, and then you can either put it in the wash, or what I sometimes do is I just spray it with a bit of disinfectant and then leave it somewhere to dry, because I only really go once a week, so that's absolutely fine. So to put in the bit of kitchen roll, I just fold it in half like that, and then just fold the end. So I've got about that sort of size, and then in the mask there's that bit that we left, that 5 centimetres we didn't sew. I kind of just squish it in, and then once it's in there you can kind of flatten it out so it covers the area where you're going to be breathing. It's a bit fiddly and it does take a little bit of patience, but it's better to be safe than sorry. So I've put in the filter layer now, so I'll put it on to show you because I think people are more used to wearing the ones with the ear loops. If you want to do those, by the way, you do the same process with the sewing, but you just have 2 small loops rather than 1 large one. So you just put it over your head with the pipe cleaner bit at the top. I always put my hair over the top because otherwise I find it quite annoying. And then I pull it up over my nose, press that in so it kind of moulds around my nose, and then I put these elastic bits over my ears, and then it holds it on quite securely. You can pull this bit out of it as well, and then it's not stuck to your mouth or nose, so I find it a lot easier. And then if you go out, you nip in between shops, you can just kind of take it off like this. I find it easier.